Name a country a man with a mustache should visit to meet a woman with a mustache.
France.
Yeah. France.
Paris.
You my man, Daryl. Don't even worry about this stuff. You know good and hell well that ain't.
I know that.
All right, cool, okay. I appreciate you though, man. Let's go on back to your spot.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to see?
Yeah, I want to see.
We'll go Paris. Rail, name something that's hard to do with your eyes open.
Read.
Name something that's hard to do with your eyes open. This boy in college. He enrolled in that now. He leaned into the mic and said, "Read, Steve." Okay? I sure want to see you shut your eyes and do it. Read. Let me tell you something. When this airs and they see this at your school, it's gonna be a rough life for you after this. One answer left. You can clear the board, Q. Some politicians belong in the White House, others belong in the blank house.
Well, Steve, if they're good, they belong in the White House.
Good answer.
Keep it right there.
Yeah, just like that, the question. Hey, Jamie.
What's up?
I might not get you, but I bet this ain't up there.
It's one of the funniest moments
Some belong
ever.
in the White House, others belong in the White House. Oh, that's clever right there. Oh, they trying to trick me. Listen to me. Some politicians belong in the White House, others belong in the White House.
The White House.
That's so damn funny. That's a good answer. That's a good answer. Oh, man. I'm gonna answer the question with the question. I'm gonna tell you the same thing you asked me. White, yeah. Oh, that's a good answer right there. Here we go. I'm finna point. Ready? Hold your breath. Some politicians belong in the White House. Others belong in the White House. In the White House. I was dragging a minute ago. God saw me having a rough day.
Oh, yeah.
God decided to lift me up.
Yes.
He said,
What?
you need an answer.
Yes.
That ain't really an answer.
Yes.
You need an answer.
Yes.
That's really a question.
Yes.
I'm gonna answer the question
Yes.
with a question.
Yes.
Some politicians belong in the White House.
Yes.
Others belong in the White House. Can I tell you something else?
You can tell me something else.
Is this your brother-in-law?
That's my brother-in-law.
Your brother-in-law about to be on YouTube.
Hello, Hello, everybody, wherever you may be. My name's Larry. My call sign's Kilo 7 Hotel November. Welcome back to Ham Radio Live. Please hit subscribe. We guarantee no additives in our show. It's going to hurt you with advertisements, make you hit that skip ad button that goes over and over again. That 5-second window gets bad, so why not decrease the additives in your life and just subscribe? It helps people find the channel who have an interest in ham radio here on YouTube. Want to welcome folks from all over the world to the show today, and thank you sincerely, because the show is just growing incredibly big. I mean, much more than I think it ever would, and I am very blessed to say that. Thank you so much, everybody. Welcome to the show. It is a Monday. Today is February the 15th, the 15th, day after Valentine's Day. Those folks that, forgot yesterday was Valentine's Day. No! Well, you got a little bit of time maybe for makeup with the spouse. My wife did. No joke. No, this is serious. I went out and, we had this bad storm, right? And it was still crummy. In fact, the road was closed to get to the store because there was a tree over it, okay? But I still because I wanted to get fresh roses for her. So I went and got fresh roses, but had to go around because the road was closed. So I get her a dozen roses and a nice card, and I have it all, nice for her there when she got home. She completely forgot it was Valentine's Day. No kidding. She did. She was so busy with work and worried about the weather and getting there. She just over her head. I got bonus points, let me tell you that. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's going to be a good show. I hope you enjoy it. Work on the general questions today. Also, we do have one antenna that still works, and we're going to be putting up another one. I'll do a video later this week for new hams on how to put up a good antenna, something to start with, because most of us start with a basic antenna. Most of us, unfortunately, think the wrong way when we first get into ham radio. We think about buying a great radio. We always start there, and it's the wrong direction to go. Don't start there. Start with the top. Go with the antenna and especially the feed line, because you're going to reuse that feed line over and over again. So get something good. Go with something like an LMR 400 or a variant of it. Most stores, maybe if LMR 400 is a little too pricey for you, get a generic version of it. Same thing, just cheaper, right? So that's something you focus on, plus the antenna. So what a lot of folks will do is they'll start with the antenna, right? Third or second, they'll get the radio and they'll be like, yeah, man, got this brand new radio. It's really going to be awesome. And they put up to an antenna that's usually too low and they'll say, darn it, this radio it just really stinks. I hate this thing. Are you not entertained? It's terrible. I don't like this thing. I don't know about a ham radio anymore. And they don't realize you got to get the antenna up high to make it work. So we're going to do a video this week. It's going to be short, nothing like really big, but it's going to be about how you can put up an antenna, especially if you're in a space restricted lot like I am, and say you have no trees like I don't, to put up an antenna high enough to make it work. And we'll use a simple antenna that's very affordable and easy to get at most ham radio stores like the G5RV. So we'll put it up, show you how you do it. So if you're new to ham radio, start there. Get an idea of how you can first get it up high enough safely. And second of all, how you can start from the top. And again, understand a G5RV is a compromised antenna. Anything that's not perfectly resonant on a frequency is a compromised antenna. But it's okay because you can get a lot of work on a G5RV, and there's many people who have worked hundreds of countries using one. Welcome to the show, everybody. Glad to see you. Let's catch up with everybody. Nikolai first in Romania. Welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Always a friend. Hap P. That's pretty sweet. Love it. Thanks for being here. Nice. Test. By the way, on the sign-offs, we're going to have some fun stuff when we go to Hawaii in about 10 days. We're going to do some sign-offs from Hawaii, so you can see some TV sign-offs from Hawaii. One of them is kind of bad. You can't see it. You can only hear it, but at least it's some content from sign-off in Hawaii. That's not the easiest thing to find. Stu Foster's here from Great Britain. Thank you, Stu. Good to see you. Thanks for the email, too. He's Golf 7, Whiskey Alpha Yankee. Stu, it's great to see you, man. Thanks for the email. It's great to see you. And we got James Stanley. Sorry I'm late. watched McLaren F1 launch. Very nice. Problem with more than one interest. Nothing wrong with that. That's Mike 7, Bravo X-Ray Tango. Welcome to the show, my friend. Always a pleasure. Thank you. We've got November 3, Juliet Whiskey. Check this out. This is great. Larry and your crew, too. Bad weather is now here in the southeast. It is currently under tornado watches. Hopefully conditions better there for you. The southeastern United States just is getting pummeled right now. And that's an area that's not used to getting bad weather. The southeast is typically pretty warm. It stays nice, but they've had ice in Tennessee and in Mississippi and Alabama. You know, they've just got really cold weather. And now, look at that. They've got tornado warnings on top of that. Boy, tough. Keep the southeastern United States in your prayers. Thanks for coming to the channel. We appreciate it. And we've got Tom. Tom, you got a new look at that new YouTube emoji and name. Happy. Very nice. Tom is Alpha 92 Golf Whiskey, watching on his DTR tablet from Bahrain. Good to see you, my friends. Thanks for being here from all over the world. I don't ever lose sight of that. And as the channel is growing, I marvel at it. I really do. I tell my wife, recently, I told her, I never expected this. I expected people to be mean. I did. I expected the people to say cruel things on comments and stuff. That I expected. So I wasn't worried about that. But I never expected the kindness. That's the part that has blown me away. It sincerely has moved me. Thank you so much. All right, let's try and get some folks licensed. Today's Monday, so it's going to be general questions. We do technician Tuesdays and Thursdays, generals on Mondays and Wednesdays, and Fridays are always extra Fridays for the amateur extra exam here in the U.S. Away we go. First on the general. These are the first two. First one, what is reactance? When you see this question, think of the word inductance, okay? Think of the word inductance because it's the opposite of reactance, okay? Opposition to the flow of alternating current caused by capacitance or inductance. So on most questions on the FCC test, look for the answer that says inductance because it's the opposite of reactance, okay? Next question, what is the output PEP, which means peak envelope power, or the maximum your transmitter is going to put out, of an unmodulated carrier if an average reading watt meter connected to the transmitter output indicates 1060 watts. In layman's terms, going to just simplicity, what if you're got a meter on the back of your radio, right? Between the radio and the antenna. So it's between the transmitter and the antenna. And that meter says 1060 watts. What does that mean your output power is to the transmitter here?
What we're dealing with here.
Jeez, no kidding. It's 1060 watts. That's all it is. It gives you the answer, okay? Output power, peak envelope power of an unmodulated carrier. So that means there's no modulation to it. It's just simply going out, okay? The average reading is 1060. That's what it is. It's 1060. Don't let it throw you. There's a lot of things on the test that you can look at and go, wait, that might be plausible, and that gets you in trouble. Think logically, and a lot of times carefully at the questions, because believe me, these questions aren't meant to throw you for the most part, but many of them can be answered by simply re-looking at them and saying, okay, what does the question really say here? Because they use a lot of words to make it really difficult sometimes, and really the meaning gets obscured sometimes. And I think that's unfortunate. Let's go on with the general. All right, next two. Which of the following can be determined with a directional watt meter? Okay, so you have a directional watt meter, and what you're going to be measuring is standing wave ratio. SWR, that's all it is. A directional watt meter will help you determine how much reflective power is coming back down your feed line. That's basically it. So when you're hooking up a transmitter, you got a directional watt meter in line. You can, in fact, these are very common with most watt meters. You can turn them on to measure your SWR. That's all it is, simply standing wave ratio. Next question, which of the following might be useful in reducing RF? Remember, RF is radio frequency. So which of the following might be useful in reducing radio frequency interference to audio frequency devices. All right, so you're transmitting, and maybe in your house, your neighbor's house, they've got some, home theater speakers, and all of a sudden they're watching something like, let's say they're watching Titanic, and all of a sudden they hear this CQ20, CQ20. It's just a bypass capacitor. Put a bypass capacitor in line and you'll be able to avoid all of that. That's all it is. The bypass capacitor essentially takes the remaining, that RF energy that's going, outside of where you are. It helps to just suck it out. So have a bypass capacitor put into, let's say, your home theater system, or, your neighbor. Buy your neighbor one. Don't, be a good neighbor. Buy them something that will help them, because they won't hear you on the air anymore in their house. And believe me, you'll be happy, but more importantly, they'll be happy. All right, next question. Which ionospheric layer is closest to the surface of the Earth? Okay, this is so important. It is, because, and I'm going to make a big old crash probably here, and I don't want to, but this question is so big and so important, I don't want it to be lost, because this is a great teaching moment for people. And I think that because of the importance, I think we really need to focus hard on it. So let me kind of arrange things here that you don't see me doing, thankfully. Because quite honestly, yeah, it's a little bit messy since we got some deliveries here at the house. Well, let's just say it's gotten very, very busy. All right, here we go. Let me grab my dry erase stuff and we'll show you. Okay, the answer here, by the way, is D layer. Okay, ionospheric layer that's closest to the Earth is the D layer. The ionosphere is split up to a few components. Okay, there are 3 of them, technically 4 during the day. I'd like to show you what those are. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to bring you back to me and we're going to just show it to you, because the ionosphere is very important for you to understand. Whether you're brand new into ham radio, considering ham radio, or you're in it, you want to license up, but don't quite understand it. Okay, so we have the Earth's surface, which is basically right there. Okay, so we'll call that Earth. Okay, all right, so there's Earth. Okay, you have the Earth's surface, and then above you have layers that you don't see. Okay, the ionosphere is split up into layers you don't see. And they extend way up. I mean, these things can go up well over 200 kilometers, okay? So you're talking into space, okay? Next one's going to be here and here. All right. So you have the D layer here. You have, oh boy, that's a bad R. You have the E here. And then you have 2 of them right here, okay? This is the F. Wow. Larry just learned to spell today. Sorry, I didn't have this put up for you earlier. Okay, so Earth goes like this, and our radio signals depend on the ionosphere. Without it, we have no contact, okay? So you have the Earth, okay? The Earth, we're sitting right down here. Above it, we have the first layer of the ionosphere, which is the D layer. The D layer really absorbs most ham radio signals below 7 megahertz. So, and 7's kind of the dividing line, and it can fluctuate. Sometimes 40 meters doesn't work great in the daytime because the D layer tends to suck it up. This absorbs most of our ham radio signals, and it's only present during the daytime. It's also the most highly charged by the sun. Ions in the ionosphere vibrate quickly. When our radio waves hit them, they vibrate quickly, and what they do is they come up from Earth like this. They go up, they bounce, and they hit it, right? And they come back down. But the D layer doesn't do that. The D layer absorbs them. So we need to go to a higher frequency to punch to the D layer during the day. That's why 20 meters and 17, 15, 12, and 10 work better during the day, because they're high enough in frequency to really pounce through that D layer and come back down. Okay, that's why. So when we have the daytime, we have a charged E layer. All right, at night, the D layer is completely gone. Okay, there is no D layer. We have the E layer, and then the F layer really combines into one highly charged area. So the F layer, instead of it being called F1 and F2, becomes simply the F layer. This is where your longest skip is going to come from. Your longest distance will come from here. So it comes from Earth, it hits up here. Now, if it punches through the E layer, it's going to hit that F layer and come way down over here. You can get contacts well over 5,000 miles on 100 watts if you use it. And it really works well. The key to it is getting that antenna high enough, because a low antenna means the launch angle is going to be really high. It's going to go up and not go very far. Higher antennas go off the Earth's surface more on an angle like this and then go down. They go farther. So at night, we use the lower frequency bands, things like 40 meters, 80 meters, 75, 160. They work well because they're built for using this E and F layer. That's how it works. So without those layers in the ionosphere, we simply have no contact. The main thing to understand with the ionosphere, excuse me, is we have three layers that are really responsible: D, E, and F. D destroys HF contact. Just remember that. D destroys. So D is always not good. E and F reflect. So EF reflect. Remember it that way. EF reflect. You'll get longer skip by using the E and the F layers. And during the nighttime, those lower frequencies that weren't good during the day because that D layer sucks them up now work fantastic because they're made to work to punch through to that E and F layer and give you long distance contacts. That's why many people make their best contacts on 40 meters at night. That's why. Now, when the sunspots come back and we get more ionization to the ionosphere, 20 meters and 17 and 15, even maybe 10 is going to be strong enough to work even at night or into the night. So remember, the ionosphere is our very best friend in amateur radio. Without it, we have no contacts because we don't make point-to-point communications. Our communications have to bounce up off the ionosphere, okay? So when you look at this question and you see it saying which ionospheric layer is closest to the Earth, they're all listed for you right there. D layer is closest, and they go alphabetically up. Just remember that. They alphabetically go up. D, E, F1, F2. But at night, remember, F1 and F2 become one, and D completely disappears. All right, next question on the general exam. Sorry I spent so much time there, but that's the basis of ham radio. Right there is the very basic piece you have to know. If you know that, you're going to grow really quickly when you get into this hobby. Which of the following effects can a geomagnetic storm have on radio propagation? Now, this is an interesting question because it degrades high latitude HF propagation. So if you're up in the high latitudes, say 45, 50, 60 degrees, your HF propagation can be very hard to make. However, VHF improves. Right? Did you know that? With a geomagnetic storm, you've got better work on VHF. It works better. But HF suffers tremendously if you're up in the high latitudes. All right. Let's get back here on your comments real quick. Andy Cowley, thank you. That's a nice compliment. Thank you very much. Stu said, I'm very fortunate. My Elmer used to set some questions for the exam. One was a question on a diagram of an SWR meter. And guess what? Yep, it came up on my exam. That's great. Glenn Stevenson, welcome all the way from Australia. It's good to see you, man. I mean that, Glenn. Thank you. 3 continents live. It's always an honor, and I mean that. I sincerely do. 3 continents here right now. We'll see if we can maybe grab a 4th. Next question on the general. And this one's always, I always want to put these up because it's an easy one to help you on multiple questions on the FCC exam, okay? What segment of the 20-meter band is most often used for digital transmissions? The answer is always going to be in 76. Think of the bicentennial or the centennial or the year of our country's birth in the U.S., okay? Excuse me. Think of 76. That's what year the United States was born. So if you remember that, 76, look at the answer that has the number 76 in it. That's going to be there. And there's no other trick question. It's not going to be another one. For example, there wouldn't be something here that says 15.070 to 15.100. You're not going to see that as a possibility. Just remember 76. If it has 76 in it, that's the right answer for digital. Okay. The digital portion of the band is usually between about 0.70, 0.070 of a frequency band. So like on 40, it's going to be 7.070 to 7.1. Okay. On 20, it's the answer right here, 14.070 to 14.100. The digital portion is where you see your FT8, your JT65, all of your digital modes, right? Your texts, your photos, stuff like that. But people will use like SSTV in different places, but digital for the most part is always done about 070 to 0.1, whether it be on 40, 80, 20, whatever. Just remember 76, the year of our country's birth, and you'll be golden. All right. Next question. That is on the U.S. general exam here in the United States. It reads, what do most, and this is a really interesting question. Okay. Why do most amateur stations use lower sideband on 160, 75, and 40 meter bands? Here's a place where I wish they'd be consistent, but they aren't on this test. And it's not, I'm not knocking the test. I just wish it'd be consistent. Okay. Here's a place where they don't say 80 meters. Instead, they say 75. Okay. And it confuses a lot of younger people or younger ham radio operators or people who want to be in ham radio. When you see 75, you also think 80. Okay. Because 80 really is at 3.750 and below. Everything above that is 75. So 80 and 75 are synonymous. Just remember that. Please remember that. 80 and 75 are the same. They just split at 3.750 and go up to 4. That's it. So the question, why do we mostly use lower sideband on these bands, is because it's just amateur practice to do so. There's no special reason. You could use upper sideband if you wanted to. It would work exactly the same, but our practice, so that we're on the same page, is to use lower sideband on these frequencies, and there's a reason for it. Let me explain why you do this. If we did things without organization like this, we would be literally trying to talk with no coordination. There would be no rule to it. You'd have some people using LSB, which is lower sideband, some using upper sideband, and people wouldn't be able to communicate because, well, you would, but you'd have a lot harder time of it because you'd be like, oh, wait, they're on upper. You'd click your radio and go to upper. And the next person might be on lower. Oh, wait, they're on lower. You got to readjust your radio. When we went from AM in the 50s and lower sideband was developed, it was developed in a way to make ham radio more efficient. But we had to be orderly with how we would use it because it is very different using the lower sideband portion or the upper. So 10 megahertz is the dividing line. Anything lower than 10, except 60 meters, I know, is lower sideband. Remember, 10 is the dividing line. 10 and below, lower sideband. 10 and up, upper sideband. Best way to describe that. There is just a weird little knock there at 60 meters. Remember, it's in 5 channels. Those are all upper sideband. That's the only exception to this rule. Otherwise, you're always on lower sideband below 10 megahertz, and you're always on upper sideband when you're above. Next question on the general. Which of the following band segments make you operate if you are a technician class operator and you have a CSCE for general class privileges? Okay. All right. In layman's terms, okay, you passed your test for the general, okay? Where can you operate your radio? The answer is C, on any general or technician class band segment. Once you pass your test, keep your certificate. Make sure that you answer, you put with your call signs, /AG. So, for example, K7HN, AG, or stroke AG. Lets people know, okay, if you look me up in, say, QRZ, or you look in the FCC database because you're that, you have to know that much stuff about people. And there are people to do that. You aren't going to say, wait a minute, that guy's a technician. He shouldn't be here. Okay. Just make it legal. That way you tell people, okay, I just passed my test, AG. But once you pass it, you can use those frequencies right away. Same with the extra. If you pass the extra exam and you're a general, you can go right on to the extra exam frequency, the extra frequencies, which is great because it's DX. You get some better DX that way. All right, two more. On which of the following band segments may you operate if you're a technician class operator and have a CSCE again? Why did this do twice? Okay. Wow. Next question. And on my end here, we get it at, the full screen. What is the maximum symbol rate permitted for radio teletype? That's RTTY. It's another way we communicate digitally. Or data emissions. See, so there's data. Transmitted at frequencies below 28 megahertz. So the maximum symbol rate you can use to transmit with is 300 baud. So remember, 10 meters all the way to 160, you can use 300 baud for a maximum symbol rate. That's all. Just got to remember 300. So for the most part of the HF frequencies, all the HF, which is 10 meters to 160, well, 10 meters to 80, technically 160 is medium wave, but you use 300 baud. All right, last question. On the General, number 4 there. How does the FCC require an amateur station to be operated in all respects, not specifically covered by the Part 97 rules? Okay. So these are for people who are really, really trying to use a nice word, not too tightly wound, because some people, well, that's not on the 97 rules. Part 97 of the FCC rules is basically all about amateur radio and how you can use it and what you can do. That's it. So how does the FCC require an amateur station to be operated in all respects that's not specifically covered by Part 97? They just want you to be in conformance with good engineering and good amateur practice, okay? The B one could be a confusing one, in conformance with amateur radio custom. That could be very plausible. So, just remember, it's in conformance with good engineering, because that's a big part of what we do. Engineering is important because you've got to set up a transmitter, you might have an amplifier, and you have, most of all, an antenna. So good engineering practice plus good amateur practice. Keep your language good and do the right thing. Welcome to the show, everybody. Now, we went long on the test, but we haven't done the general for a while and just done general exam, and I hope it helps. All right, we're going to see if we make a few QSOs, and we will do our very best. I think this is the last day we'll be on the FTDX 10 because I want to get it downstairs and play with it. So here we go. FTDX 10 on 20. First thing I'm going to do, listen on frequency, and we're going to try and see if we can find somebody real quick to say a quick hello real quick to some people. All right, so we're on upper sideband. We're going to tune, but we're going to tune off frequency. Theirs is going 3 kilohertz up from 14,245. We're going to go to 14,240, listen for a signal, make sure it's not there. Here's something. And I have a resonant antenna here on 20. It's really resonant, using the DX Commander all-band vertical, and it's cut real well for 20 meters, so should be good. So we're going to tune, make sure that we're not tuning on top of somebody. I did that on Friday. Felt bad about it. Usually don't ever do that on the channel. I think you guys have seen that many times where I'll say don't ever tune up. I move and then tune, but we'll tune off frequency. We'll try to say hello to the person that's up on 14,245. Here we go. Okay, now here's where the contour feature of the FTDX 10 is really good. Hear anything? Now, if they're still there, which I don't know, they could have signed off, said 73 and left, but let's put the contour back. And see, there is somebody tuning on frequency, which is unfortunate. We'll move over.
My other interests are completely different. I've always had an interest in growing things, and
now let's listen to it without the contour. I love riding the contour on this transceiver. Here it is with it, and let's hear it without it.
doing stuff like that. Completely different from what my background is.
Hear the difference?
You know, they're
That's with it. That's the low pass filter. It allows the lows to come into the signal. It emphasizes the low frequencies of your voice.
I sit here and look at Google Earth.
Without?
What an amazing thing that is. About half of the QSOs.
And now with it.
I haven't gotten on here.
Here it is with it.
About half the QSOs, I'll look up where
Now,
somebody is.
let's lower the
especially if
bandwidth
they're,
just to bring out the noise the
up
best we
in the hill
can. We'll
country
lower the
somewhere in
bandwidth.
Some state, and it's kind of fun to try to see where it is and what it looks like, at least from the air.
Hear how much it covered it?
What neat technology that is.
Listen how all the static came away. That's just lowering the bandwidth.
A lot to try to get an aerial perspective of something I might be working on. It just measure a distance from point A to point B and do it there. I mean, just a world of interesting stuff. Anyway, how are you? Well, you're right in your middle of your.
Try and say hello real quick.
With young kids, so your time is pretty well outside of ham radio. The rest of your time is pretty well occupied, I would guess. Go ahead.
K7HN. And thank you, Tom. Yeah, this is a direct feed from straight out of the rig right onto YouTube. We're going to be able to do the same thing with the FTDX 101. So we'll take a look at it here and see how it goes. See if the guys heard us and hopefully say hello. And Nikolai, I'll get to your question just a second. See if we can maybe pull in the
yeah, W8RJD. Well, we keep trying to. We've got 3 kids and 4 grandkids now, but and everybody's in the area here. And I keep telling my grandkids, pay attention to this. Even the youngest ones that are 10 now. I've got 2 of them that are 10. And I say, pay attention to this. Think about all this. This is all extremely unusual, and you will be telling your children and grandchildren about this, the great pandemic of 2020. Someday you'll be looking back on it.
Just checking the power output, make sure I'm at 100. I often try QRP stuff, so here we go.
Outdoors in the wintertime.
Hi, Fred. Welcome to Washington State.
They literally are.
You guys get some bad winter up there? Man, it was awful here.
The crazy things that they did in order to try to keep
Again, you got to be careful, though, with the bandwidth on this. If you lower too low, you'll lose it. Here's too low. See, now it's really bad. Too low. It's too narrow. Bring it back out.
Primary campus is the University of Colorado. So,
see?
Big university.
But if you stay out at 3K, listen to all of the static that comes into the signal.
University in a lot of high tech, but so 100,000 population.
Hear that?
Proper, maybe 250,000.
Not only is he not as loud as he was, but you've got a lot more noise in it. So lower it back down.
But that gives me a perspective that 75,000 is a big town. That's probably approximately equivalent to the second biggest city here in this county. And politics is pretty hot stuff in both these places, so I can imagine.
Okay, let's move on. I don't like to get into politics. It's just not a good thing. Hang on, let's move on. Maybe.
Olha, tem que antigamente que um forninho, hein? Nag-20 overnight na mamuron, happy flight. Opa. Ayos na over. Yeah, D for JT with DE for PDD for ID. Yeah, I know it one. But,
A little light, but we might. Let's see. And for new hams, notice there on the frequency here, well, actually on the mode that we're using for new hams, we talked about a moment ago, upper sideband, lower sideband, 10 megahertz being the dividing line. Most modern transceivers will automatically adjust that for you. Once you're above 10, they'll automatically shift to what's called USB. That's upper sideband. You can see that to the right of the watt meter there. See the watt meter? To the right says VFO/A and then USB. That's upper sideband. If we were to move down to 40 meters, which is below 10 megahertz, okay, it's 7 megahertz plus, watch it change. It's going to go right to LSB. Does it automatically. So here we go on 40. Now we're on LSB. So most modern transceivers will do that automatically for you for the, upper or lower sideband thing. Now move on. For the shows, I like to grab something that's got a little more sound. Give you just a little bit more so you can hear it. Okay, let's move. We'll tune, make sure no one's here, and we'll see if we can say a quick hello to him. I don't think we're going to need much here. One thing I will say about this radio I don't like is the amount of time it takes to auto-tune. It's very long. 5 seconds or so, too long. This is where a nice auto-tuner, like say the MFJ 939, the 939 will work perfect with this. Zippity tune and away you go. Usually tuning is done in less than 2 seconds with that tuner. Here, it's over 5 if you use the onboard tuner of the FTDX 10. Now I'm notching because I'm trying to notch some noise out. That's what I'm doing. See, without the notch. See, add some hash with the notch. Lowers down the noise, the static. Without, with. You'll hear him better with that on there. Kilo 7 Hotel November is what we're going to call, because that's our call sign. And once we get a nice break between the two of them, we'll make the call just using our call sign. This is for new hams. And that will let them know, hey, someone's on frequency that wants to say hello. That's basically how we do it. So the radio is here. I always keep a look on gray line over here just so I know where everything is. And it helps me because that way I know what's going on. Kilo 7 Hotel November.
November 5, Alpha Romeo, you trying to set this?
Oh, it's a net. It's a net. Okay, we're moving on. That's a net. Sorry. Make sure they didn't hear us before we leave. Okay, so they're just doing a net check-in. That's all that is. So we're good. Okay, so let's move, and I'll get you a question. Todd, I got you. It's a good question. Todd asks, his call sign is Kilo Delta 2 Tango Juliet Union. He asks a great question. He said, is there any chance you could talk a little bit about the relationship between the AMC setting and mic gain processor level? Thank you for the comment about the show. I'll tell you this, and this is a great question, Todd. Let me show you actually, it'll be through the straight rig view, which is coming right out of the back of the transceiver. You'll see the relationship. Let me go off frequency to show you. how it comes, to you standard and how you should probably use it, because the stock settings that Yaesu puts it at really makes it weak, okay? Let me show you what I'm talking about. When I get the radio out of the box, let me put it back to standard settings, just on the transmit side, okay? So we're going to go into here, and we're going to move the mic gain down to where it is from the factory, and that's at 20. Okay, mic gain was at 20. Processing level was way down at 25. There was processing, okay? Now, let's do this. We're going to go off frequency from where this net is. Make sure we have no signals around us. Listen for a moment. Somebody there? All right, I think we're good here. We're resonant enough. But just to make it good, let's tune, and then we're just going to do a standard test. Notice how much smaller the transmit signal got on the tune as well. That's only at 5 watts, but look how narrow it is. Because we've lowered the mic gain and compression ratio down, watch what the power meter does. This is a great question by Todd. Very good question about this rig out of the box. Watch the power meter. Is this frequency available? This is kilowatt 7 Hotel November. You see how it barely moved? I mean, it didn't even get close to 50. Let's widen it out. Checking frequency availability. This is kilowatt 7 Hotel November. I mean, we touched 30 watts there for just a moment. Now, this is standard settings. All right, so we're just going to go and just call as testing. Kilowatt 7 Hotel November station testing, K7HN. All right, so let's move the mic gain. Oh, by the way, the mic EQ is also off, so let's turn that off. Let's let you look at it now, okay? So that's how it comes standard. K7HN testing. This is kilowatt 7 Hotel November station testing. You see? And now somebody's here on frequency. Okay. Let's move down. No one was there before, so we'll just move. It's easier. We'll try here at 309. I've seen nothing down here on the waterfall, but we'll just make sure. Is this frequency available? This is Kilo 7 Hotel November. See, we're not even touching 10 watts. That's how it is out of the box. So what I do with it, here's the relationship. Bump up your mic gain. I have my mic gain at 65, okay? Now, press the function key again, turn your mic EQ on, go to processor level, and bring that up. Bring it up to 70. Now watch. We're going to go back to the waterfall and just keep everything where it is. Checking frequency availability. This is kilowatt 7 Hotel November. Now I've never received, you see how it bounced up way over 50? I've never once had a bad audio report at those settings. In fact, they've been very good using the stock mic. But you see the difference in what it made for the power meter. All of a sudden it came alive. You've got to ride this radio harder, meaning bring up your mic gain, bring up your processing, because if you don't, you're just not going to get the whole package. Just a moment. We're going to show you now without the processor, or bring the processor down to where it was. You're going to see that meter go down. K7HN, Oregon, we're station testing. This is Kilo 7 Hotel November. Okay. We're going to turn the mic EQ off and the processing level down. Back to where it was at 25. Okay, now let's take a look at that meter. Station testing, Kilo 7 Hotel November, Oregon. See how it's right below 50? Okay, what if we bring just the mic EQ on? Let's see what that does. Station testing, this is Kilo 7 Hotel November. Okay, now it touched 50, just a little more than 50. Now move the processor up again. Okay, and now we'll be again at 70 on the processor. Station testing, this is kilowatt 7 Hotel November. Now, if we go too much on the processor, you can produce splatter. You don't want to do that. I've run it as high as 80 if I'm trying to make a really hard DX call out of the country. Watch it now at 80. Station testing. This is Kilowatt 7 Hotel November. See, I think 80 is a little too much, so I bring it down to 75. Now, you could get a little more out of it if you go to your mic gain and you bring your mic gain up, say to 75. Let's move them both at 75 and watch what it does. Station testing. This is Kilowatt 7 Hotel November. See how it stayed in that 50 to 100 watt range? If you do that, I think, Todd, you'll be fine on this rig. Just make sure that on the stock settings, you just adjust it, because it's going to come to you light. Bring it up with the processing and mic. Great. That's one of the best questions we've ever had on this transceiver. Todd, thank you for joining us. His call sign, Kilo Delta 2 Tango Juliet Union. Great question. Trucking and Fun, does the FTDX 101 tune faster than the 10? Great question. Great question. Identical. They are identical. Same tuner in the 10 as the 101 and the 5000. They're identical. They're about 5 seconds. They just take forever to tune. Yaesu tuners are just pretty slow. I mean, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hook it up to my 939Y and use that, because it'll just make it within 2 seconds at the longest, and it'll just go quick. Yeah, no worries. Mr. Radio. Jeez, you're funny. You know, Mr. Radio Robot, I like it. Thank you. Very kind. It's very kind, actually. That's very kind. Todd, you're welcome. Welcome. Yeah, just bring it up. You'll be fine. It's a very good radio. I've said before, using the 101, which I really love, it's a great transceiver. My favorite part is the VC tune. I really like that on this because it makes it nice. Let me show you real quick. If I pull this off, I usually keep everything covered with a pillowcase. So let me just, you know, the cases they sell for these, they're just expensive. So I just don't do it. But if I were to go to the 101 and do that on the same, let's pick a frequency and we'll show you the VC tune using that on the VC tune versus the 10 and without it. Okay. So let's find a frequency and we'll do our best to, I've got an antenna switch for this. So we're going to go back. We're on 40, let's see, 14309 right in there. Let's tune it up and we will see we got a frequency here. Got somebody on this net. Let's go to the net. All right, let me get you on the regular direct here from the transceiver. And I'm going to go on the 101, same frequency, so you can hear the now again, the only problem is you're going to hear one directly through the YouTube feed. The other one's going to be through the mic, but it'll still show you what the VC tune will do for it, okay? Hang on. Here's the 10 on this frequency, on this particular one. In fact, you know what, let's go down. Here's a big one. This will be a better one. Okay, this is the net 14.3. Perfect timing. Oh, thank you, Lord. Okay, good. So let's listen here, and you'll hear the VC tunes effect. This is what makes the 101 really special in my mind, really special, whether you have the D or the MP. Let's listen. Now I'm going to move the switch, the antenna switch, so it goes to the FTDX 101 in just a moment. But I want to have some audio from this guy first so we can show you the difference, okay? Hang on. Let's wait for him to come back so we can get an audio sample. My goodness, usually we got a lot of activity on this net, so I'm surprised it's this quiet. Let me find another frequency, just another signal. That's all I'm looking for. Okay, just trying to find somebody's going to talk for a while to show you the differences here, okay? Give me a moment. That's one thing you can't control when you do a live show is who's going to talk where and how long they're going to talk. This will be VC tuned to show you what it does differently on the 101 versus the 10, and is it worth it for you, okay? This is just to show you. Doing too much chasing.
Not really.
Here's the 101. VC tune. Here's the FTDX 10 without it. FTDX 101 with VC tune. Let's move over, get another station right here. There's somebody right in here.
The 18-wheeler, I also drove an 18-wheeler. Didn't have the outback
with VC tune.
Anyway, it is a very good antenna, mobile antenna. Actually, one time it flew off.
Tune it out. Tune it in. Too far the other way. See how it goes down? Comes back.
It's a very rugged antenna. Okay, thanks for breaking in, and I'm going to get back to that. Anything else before we sign over?
Okay, so that gives you hopefully a good explanation of the difference between the two. The VC tune is used more when you have strong signals nearby to attenuate the transceiver down just a little bit, so that essentially you have the opportunity to use this radio and be able to adjust the passband with the outer knob on the VC tune, which moves this little window up here that you can kind of see it. Let me try and move you a little closer. There's been many reviews on this, but it gives you an idea. So you touch the VC tune, you make sure it's engaged here at the top, and then when you turn the outer ring, okay, you can see the passband moving around up top, just like that. That's what helps to attenuate strong signals within the passband and literally helps you to be able to, pick them up. So you can take the strong guy down to pick up the weak signal. That's one of the big advantages that the 101 has over the 10. Good questions today, guys. Very good. Tom Cooling, in the FTDX 101D, can you talk about the compression versus AMC choice? Well, if you use the AMC on either one of these, they work identical, okay? The AMC is going to essentially be able to give you, I guess the way I could describe this to you, Tom, for me personally, the AMC control is useful on both transceivers and works the same. I just prefer just to run with the mic EQ, and I haven't messed with it yet. The one thing I hate about the FTDX 10, besides the fact that it's, you've got some stuff on it that, I wish it had more of, like a few knobs that can control things, is the RJ45 mic. I'm not a real fan of it. So I've ordered a mic coupler that will give me an 8-pin Yaesu on it, because That way I can use my XLR mics if I want to and run full, you know, microphone, run better audio through it. So I haven't really messed a whole lot with those settings other than to bring up the mic gain and the compression. I haven't gotten into a whole lot of other settings really yet. I've just been playing with it. I've been having a lot of fun. Just so you get an idea, what he's talking about here on the rig, if you go to the transceiver itself, okay, you have various controls here that are available to you that are through the menus, okay? You have the AMC level, which is right here, okay? The AMC level, if you adjust it up for your mic, watch. If we bump this up, let's say to 70, and we're going to go down here somewhere where it's quiet. Make sure we're not stepping on anybody here. And let's quickly check. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to turn off the mic EQ. We're going to bring down the mic gain. Okay, so mic gain back at 20, factory settings. We're going to move the processor back down to 25, which is mic, you know, practice, basically where it comes from. All right, so now we're just focusing on AMC. Let's take a look at AMC. Is this frequency available? This is kilowatt 7 Hotel November. You see them, if you take a look carefully at the transmit signal, it really emphasizes on the upper end. That would be the low and the mid range on adjusting AMC. Watch again. I don't know if somebody came back. It sounded like maybe someone was there. Just a second. Sorry, is this frequency available? This is kilowatt 7 Hotel November. Tried to emphasize the call. All right, so on the AMC settings here that you asked about, Tom, and it's the same for the 101, they are identical. That is something I can tell you for sure. If you leave the mic and processor alone, just adjust your AMC. It does the same thing as bringing up mic gain and processor, just a different way. So if we move this up, let's move it, we'll select AMC, and we're going to bring up just a little more. Let's go up to 75. Let's see that mic. Hold on. I got somebody nearby. Let's get away from them. We don't want to step on anybody here, so let's just do this real quick. Is this frequency available? This is kilowatt 7 Hotel November. Okay, do you see how it went on there, Tom? Yes, exactly. There you go. It is. It's like split band EQ. It optimizes the output. So if you bump the AMC up and you use the mic gain, let's watch what happens. That's why I'm trying to do it this way. So I'm glad you're on board with it. All right, so we've turned the EQ on, bumped the processing back up to 75. And now let's look at that process signal and take a look at how it looks at the top. We're focusing on the green area above where you see the actual, my speech. Essentially, it's showing you the way the frequencies are dialed in for my physical speech. It also will show you, if you look to the left on the meter, how much power is going out now. Before, we were very hard to get 30 watts. Now let's listen. Checking frequency availability. This is kilowatt 7 Hotel November. You see how wide it got? And part of that's processing. If we bump the processing down, it's not going to be as wide of a transmit signal. Okay, so let's bump the processing down. It'll narrow out how much of that goes out. And we'll bump it down to, say, 55. Okay, now let's look at the mic. Let's look at the wattage, but also now look at the width. Hold on. Okay, it's 84. We're good. We're still good. Station testing. This is kilowatt 7 Hotel November. See, it didn't quite go as far out because the processor's turned back a little bit. That's it. So, and keep in mind too, I have the span here at, take a look at the span. It's only at 50K. So it's going to be wider naturally at that. But I like to run it at 50 because it gives me a better look at the signal. Okay. Hope that helps. Let me move this off here on the screen so you can see the regular waterfall. Great questions today. Very good. All right. Fred, let's take a look here. We got Wow, a whole bunch of people here. Thank you. And Todd, you're welcome. Stu, I have an American station 57 on 14184. I never get signals on 20 at this time of evening. That's good. Yeah, 20, it looks like maybe coming up. That's good. Good to hear that. That's very good to hear. Fred from Washington State, can you talk a little bit about the meter? I understand SWR and power. The other options do not, like comp, VDD, IDD, ALC. All right. No problem. All right, let's take a look at the rig and make it simple, okay? So if we go to just the meter, okay, we're just going to focus on the upper left. And this is a great question, Fred, okay? And again, you got a 3-second choice. You got to hurry with it, okay? If we go to comp, you know what that means. It's the compression we're running, okay? So if I just quickly say, is the frequency available, watch the meter. If it's this frequency, whoops. Hold on, grab the right mic. 2 mics are identical here. Is this frequency available? This is Kilo 7 Hotel November. Okay, shows the compression. Okay, we're about a little under 10 dB. Now let's go to ALC. This is automatic level control, one of the most important meters you can have. You want it to be right at the top of the white, but not in the blue. You don't want in the blue because that's when you're splattering. Let's take a look. Is this frequency available? This is kilowatt 7 Hotel November. See, it's just right there in the sweet spot. Little more in the blue. So if you want to, just go to your processor level or your mic gain. You can lower them down, okay? I would prefer the processor. So if we drop this down, now the ALC, let's take a look at it. Checking frequency availability. This is kilowatt 7 Hotel November. See, it brought it down a little bit. And that really is how you want to run any radio. ALC right to the edge of the white portion, which is the good part, and then the blue is basically your splatter. All right, going on. Next, this is the amount of voltage the transceiver's using as you use it, okay? So right now, we're pretty low. You know, we're running right about 3 volts, 3-4 volts. Now when we transmit, let's watch. Station testing, this is Kilo 7 Hotel November. See, right up to 13.8. That's where it should be. That's where the radio works, okay? We got somebody now just below us. Let's move up so we're up on top of them. 20's getting busy. Tell you what, let's go over to 17, make it easy. It's wide open, probably. There'll be a little bit of activity, but not too much. I can show you the same thing. All right, we'll be at 18,133. Let's check frequency and listen for a moment first. I shouldn't need to tune here because the antenna is pretty resonant. Let me just check SWR to start with, okay? Makes it easy for me. Checking frequency availability. This is kilowatt 7 Hotel November. Like I said, this antenna was painstakingly tuned. Everything's pretty much under 1.08 to 1. So, all right, going on. So we showed VDD, right? We stopped there. Now, on your ID, this is your amperage. How much amperage you're using out of the transceiver? It's a great question. Let's look. Checking frequency availability. This is kilowatt 7 Hotel November. See, now I'm right about 10 to 11 amps, okay? So this is why, you know, when you put an amplifier in line and maybe you've got a computer here in the room as well, it's good to upgrade your service, you know, to 20 amps, because if the transceiver itself is using about 12 amps and then you run an amplifier, which could be using another 10 amps or, you know, 8 amps, whatever, and you got a computer running, you know, maybe a couple amps, and you've got an amplifier in there, you throw that in, you're now, you know, constantly tripping your circuit breaker. So that's why when you do something and you add an amplifier, a good way to do it is to just bump up to 240 volt for the amp only, and then, you know, have a dedicated 20 amp circuit to your ham shack. It'll help you, okay? And I think that was it, right? That was the only ones. Okay, so we covered all those, Fred. Hope that helped you, okay? So again, IDD is going to be your amperage, your volts is VDD. Just shows what the radio's doing. ICOMs will also show you your temperature, okay? This one has a way you can check that as well, but the ICOM's easier to do it. Yeah, good question. Thanks. A lot of people won't ask that question. Most of the digital rigs today will show you your volts out, your amps out. It'll show your ALC, which is your automatic level control. The radio will try and pull you back if you're going too far and you have splatter out on the airwaves. You don't want that. Okay. Robbie's here from Ireland. Hope you're safe and well. Thank you. Hello from South Ireland. Got to say that scope on the Yaesu looks pretty crap. Really? You're an Icon guy. Of course you'd say that. Of course you'd say that, Rob, right? It's so funny these days. I get a kick out of it. People who hate ICOM will come at them hard because it's an ICOM. People with ICOMs will come at other rigs really hard because they don't like them, because they just love their ICOM so much. I'll tell you this, Rob. I have a 7300 and I have this. If I had the choice and both rigs were priced the same price, I'd buy this 10 times. I would, because it's a better transceiver and easier to use. That's just the truth. And I have a 7300. But the 7300 at under $1,000 versus this at $700 more is a no-brainer. I'd buy the 7300 because it does so darn much really good for that price. I just try not to knock radios because they're not my brand, because I have all kinds of different radios here. I'm not brand specific. I just love what these transceivers can do. And it's interesting to compare them because each one does it differently. That's the best advice I can give you, buddy. It really is. Don't be so locked into ICOM that you don't look at something else. This screen is just as poppy as the 7300. The 101 is not. This is a much better screen. Truly is, buddy. Glenn, does the radio have a peak meter hold? No, it doesn't. That's a great question. He asks about peaks on your audio. I believe, no, hold on. It does. Hold on. Let me make sure here. Peak. It does. Hold on. Let me bump it up. Let's see if we can get it on. Hold on. Let me try it real quick. Make sure I'm not hearing somebody. Checking frequency availability. Kilo 7 Hotel November. I always do the show with one eye on the rig, one eye on you guys. Yeah, I don't see it here. And I thought perhaps it would be there. That's a good question. Maybe in a firmware update. I don't see it here or within the menus. It does have, your marker, your peaks and all that, but nothing about peak hold for your meters. That's a very good question. First time that one's come up. Very nice, man. You got one on us, Glenn. Glenn, the genius from Australia. Well done. Nice work. Nice work. Tom asks, and do you under operation settings, TX audio select comp or AMC? You can do either one, however you want to do it. I personally prefer processing and mic EQ because I like to run with a better microphone. But if you're using the stock mic, I think you can go either way. The AMC is going to bring up your power, from where it is from the factory. It's terrible out of the box. But once you bring it up, it's good. It really is. So you can run either way. I tend to run mic gain, EQ, and compression. And then I dial it in that way. And how I'll listen is typically, I think like most of you do, you pull out a web SDR somewhere distant where you can hear your voice and make sure you're not splattering. Just, good way to do it. But yeah, you can go either way. Good question. Let's see here. James Stanley, can you use a dummy load to run those tests to save on having to check for clear frequency? Jim, you can do it that way if you want to. I personally don't. I have a dummy load here in my transceiver, but I found when I do that, more times than not, I can get a contact. True. And it's happened many, many times. Whenever I do testing on air, which is perfectly legal in the US, I'll have somebody say, hey, you sound great here. You're a 5.9. And all of a sudden I make a new QSO, and that's the best part of it. That's why I do it on the air. Good question. Let's see. Oh boy, here we go. Yeah, you are, Rob. Sorry, buddy. Sorry, mate. I know you love the 7300. I get it. I get it. I get it. But Rob, there's a lot of great radios out there. There is. Kenwood makes some good ones. So does ICOM. So does Yaesu. So does Elecraft. They do. Don't be intimidated because Yaesu made a great radio here. And they've got 2 of the 3 in the top of the Sherwood report and ARRL. Don't be a hater, man. I'm not a hater on your rig, and I've got one of your rigs, and I love it. I've said that many times. This is just a fantastic radio. It is. And maybe for some really ICOM loyal people, that's hard to hear. And I'm really sorry, man. We should all be so grateful to have great transceivers made by the manufacturers today, instead of knocking transceivers because they're not our brand. Folks, it's 2021. The peak of the ham radio people came back in the 50s. It's been a long time. And these transceiver manufacturers aren't making tons of stuff because there's not a huge market for it. Be grateful for what we have and celebrate it. Use other stuff. You might be surprised and find something you really like, you know? Thanks, Rob. You're a good guy. I love Robbie. Robbie's in Ireland. And what I love about Rob does some things that a lot of folks don't do. And that is he goes outside the box. He's got a 7610, which I love. I'd love to have one of those someday, and I hope to. But he goes and he'll listen. I've said the story before where he'll pick up the ISS and he'll get their downlink from their SSTV, which is phenomenally cool. I think it's awesome. I've never done that, and I want to do that. That's something I really want to do. So, Rob, thanks for doing that. And it was good to see you on your channel the other day, too. Dave, Temecula, California, Whiskey 6, Charlie Radio, Tango. I'm out of here. Not because you're here, but I just wanted to say hi. It's been a long show, 1 hour, 15 and almost 30 seconds. Thank you, everybody, for watching the channel. I don't monetize, and I'm blown away at what's happening to it. It's really gotten to be subscribed to, and that's very humbling to me. I'm an old radio guy that does this just to have a good time. I don't monetize. You won't see an ad here. I do it to give back because I've been blessed in life. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. You won't see any ads. Until next time, check out the sign-off. It's a great one from 1979. My name's Larry, and my call sign's Kilo 7 Hotel November. God bless everybody, and goodbye.
This seal is a symbol of good television. KTUL-TV observes the high standards of programming and advertising recommended by the Television Code of the National Association of Broadcasters. Channel 8 welcomes your comments. Write anytime to KTUL-TV, Box 8, Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is television station KTUL-TV, Channel 8, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Owned and operated by Lake Television, Incorporated. Transmitting on microwave transmitter WBE 731. We sincerely hope you have enjoyed today's programs. KTUL-TV pledges continuous service to our community with television programs that entertain, inform, and educate. We seek to serve the public needs by offering assistance to representatives of all community activities. And if we may help your organization, please let us know by contacting Betty Boyd, KTUL-TV Public Service Director. Now, on behalf of the management and staff of KTUL-TV, we wish you a very pleasant good night and good morning.